just reading about an experiment they did with middle school students.
Right.
Okay. Thank you, and welcome to the Pioneer Valley Regional School District School Committee meeting. It is Thursday, January 23rd. It is 6:06, and I will call the meeting to order. We need to do a roll call tonight since we have Melissa on remote. Stephanie, can you start us off?
Stephanie Arroyo, Leiden.
Raina Dastu here.
Stephen Martin here.
Melissa Osborne here.
And Melissa Gary, present. Okay, thank you. And no, this is Melissa Osborne is remote.
Who was the other person?
No one
Oh,
else.
just Jordan is online. Yeah.
I see no citizens comment or citizens for citizens comments. And next is approval of minutes. So the only thing I have is on page 2. On the bottom where it says enrollment report.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know if we just wanted to write something like
Well,
it got
yeah.
skipped.
I was like, did I
Nope.
miss it?
We
You
did.
didn't.
We gave the regular enrollment report.
Yeah, but this
Correct,
one I
but
thought
it
was relative to choice and.
Oh, no, that
Yeah,
was, that's
that
been-
we got.
yeah.
It was
So I
skipped.
wasn't sure if it was just tabled or,
Yeah, it was tabled.
all right, I'll add that. Yeah, I meant to ask, I meant to send a note and ask about
Yeah.
that, and I forgot.
No problem. But that was the only thing I saw.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
On the minutes?
Oh,
Yep.
yes.
Oh,
Oh, my goodness.
I can't get you right, please.
Yep. There you go.
Hi, Brian.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Thank
all
you.
right. No, that's good.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm good.
Yeah,
Great.
Good. Good. Good.
So I'll make the motion to approve the minutes as amended.
Second.
Okay. So Stephanie, we have to do a roll call.
Oh.
So
Stephanie Arroyo, yes.
Raina Dastu, yes.
Stephen Martin, yes.
Melissa Osborne, yes.
Melissa Gary, yes. Okay. All right. Reports. There are no students here tonight. I do not have a chair report tonight. And there's, no superintendent report tonight.
Okay.
Moving along. Okay, so first on the agenda is the PVRS grade 9 field trip to DC. And we have Annie Scanlon, Amy, and Jeremiah Clark here to present.
Hello.
Do you want to start?
No, I'll let you start.
All right, so we're here to talk about a proposed field trip for October of 2025 for our rising ninth graders to Washington, D.C. So the goal of this trip is for our students to have a shared experience. We want our ninth graders to be a cohesive class, and for them to understand how the curriculum that they're learning in 8th and 9th grade connects to like the real world that they live in. The 8th grade curriculum is civics, and the 9th grade curriculum begins with the Enlightenment and looking at the ideas that are foundational to American democracy. So having the trip at the beginning of 9th grade allows students to really see the connection between what they've just done and what they're about to do.
Annie, can you see it? Do you need me to turn it?
I can kind of see it.
I mean, I can see you want me to do the logistics part.
Yeah,
Okay.
talk about logistics.
All right. As you can see, we're looking at a cost of about $1,300 per student, probably almost about $1,367. We ended up going through the travel partner, or looking to going through the travel partner of Landmark Educational Tours. The itinerary I've been working on with them includes some of the.
It's on the next slide.
Oh, is it? All right, ignore me. And then I guess we're just hoping to have that offset by like a little bit of fundraising budget. So the itinerary, some of the major things that we're going to try to go through are like the Smithsonian American Art Museum. I had recently gone through in my past job down and done some professional development down there and have some connections in hopes that we can have some form of like a work day where they're going to work with some of the art. The people down there want to always offer those things out to students and things like that. It's a great way for kids to create critical thinking skills around just American art in general. So like the big things, like the memorials are always one of those super traditional things that most people that have gone through like an 8th or 9th grade field trip to DC truly remember. I mean, I was just talking to Tyler about his experiences, looking at those things at night, seeing them all lit up. There's really amazing moments that will stick with these kids for their lifetime. And then obviously, you know, the opportunity to go on the tours where they see things like, you know, the actual documents that, you know, the country's founded on in the National Archives, as well as possibly and hopefully meeting with some of the representatives at the US Capitol building.
I have gone before, and Massachusetts representatives are quite good about really trying to make a point to see the students when they're visiting DC, which is, you know, exciting for them that they get to, you know, see their representatives and get a picture with them. One thing I just want to address is the timing of the trip. So if you talk to other schools, you will often hear about the trip that they take in the spring, and you will often hear about how it is 95 degrees. It is really nice to go in October. The weather tends to be better. You can never guarantee. And there are significantly fewer people. So for things like, for example, the African American History Museum, which is often incredibly busy, you get to go through it without feeling quite so much like you're being a sardine packed into a can, which I think especially for that museum is important, that students have a chance to pause and think and reflect rather than just rushing through from exhibit to exhibit. So, questions?
Thank you so very much. And having lived in DC during the summer, I think you're very wise doing what you're doing. I lost several pounds from
Dehydration.
And would be grateful to work with you if it helps with elected representatives.
That would be great.
I do wonder, in concert with our efforts with alumni, if it might be possible to put the word out and see if there are Pioneer alums in the DC area. I'm thinking of alumni who've gone to West Point who might be stationed now at the Pentagon, for example, or have other reasons to be in the DC area. And that's a nice other connection for students to have, to see them, their predecessors in the area that they're visiting. So thank you.
I love that idea. I think it's really good for our students. One of the things that we want to do for our students is to give them the ability to imagine themselves in a lot of different settings. And one of the things that field trips allow students to do is kind of see themselves literally in a different place. So yeah, I think that's great.
I have a question about fundraising activities. The cost per student seems kind of prohibitive to for a lot of families. So I imagine, I know that you are planning some fundraising, and I would just encourage a lot of that as much as possible.
So I did add a substantial, more than double the Pioneer Valley district, like our building's field trip budget for next year, really thinking about the DC trip and wanting to make sure that we were budgeting in substantial resources for that. The goal really is for every student to be able to go. And then to partner that with fundraising and also a payment plan. So as soon as the trip is approved, we will have a meeting with rising 9th grade families, tell them about the trip, and talk about how they can sign up for payment plans. Many families can do something if it's spread out versus saying, okay, I need you to write me a check for $1,300 for tomorrow. And then that will also be partnered with as much fundraising as we can possibly do. And then we have to have some conversations about how we want to use that money that was put into the budget, whether that is defraying the cost overall or whether it's saying to a family who we know even if we brought it down to $200, they don't have $200. Saying to that family, like, we don't want that to be the barrier to your student going, so we're going to, offer several essentially like grants for students to go and participate in the trip, so that the cost doesn't become a barrier for families. I think it's also, this is just my personal experience. So I've shared with Patricia, I grew up in an incredibly poor family, and my mother did an excellent job of making sure that I had opportunities like this. And some of the times trips like this, which are expensive, are actually more affordable than to go as a family. So a family cannot go to DC for 4 days for $1,300. So something that is off the table, if it has to be like a whole family trip, can maybe be figured out if it can be brought down to a school experience. So I think, I hear what you're saying. I think it's like a real concern. It's something that we're thinking a lot about. And I think we can find a way to make sure that every student who wants to go has an opportunity to go, and that cost isn't prohibitive.
And part of what I've already been trying to do is try to set seeds in different places to try to ask people who are from the community, like, where they might be able to support us and stuff like that. So it was already on our mind. It's a big part of what we were trying to do, in hopes of like being able to provide this opportunity to all of our students.
Great.
Can we formalize that in some way, in a de-identified way, but is there a way to have a mechanism where 100% of students are not going, that the superintendent or someone is notified, so that we have a mechanism of, I would hate for there to be anything but 100% ability to go, and if we find out that 5 students aren't able to go and it's August, September, we might need to think about other mechanisms.
Are you thinking of students who, so I think we possibly will have families who just choose not to have their
Certainly.
student go,
No,
not
I'm not
because
gonna
of
compel
cost,
anyone.
but just because the family just feels like,
Yeah.
you know what, my kid is not ready to go to DC for 4 days without me.
No, for financial reasons.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
And to that point, also, have you thought about plans for students who opt not to go? What their week will look like here at home?
Have you?
No.
Oh.
I'll be honest. I will be honest. I've been mostly working on trying to get us approved first, and then thinking about the other aspects.
Local field
afterwards.
trips are a lot easier to plan. I understand.
We would want the students who stayed behind to have some sort of experience that mimicked what was going on for the students on the trip. For example, the SAM, the Smithsonian Art Museum day. That is a day that probably could be largely replicated at school. The PD that Jeremiah talked about going to is a PD that is meant for teachers to come back into their classrooms and to use the art that is there as a teaching tool. So it's great to be there. I mean, it's always wonderful to be in the space, but you can have a really meaningful, rich lesson with those materials in your classroom.
So I think my only comment is I love this. I've taken students to DC. It's a wonderful trip. That if we start something like this, that we continue it and we think long term. So what I don't want to see is this one and done trip. So I would like to have the support of also the budget moving on, that this is something that can be built in upcoming years, and this is also something that you are planning on making this a regular trip. So I'm just curious if there's been any long-term planning or thinking along that.
Yes. I mean, one of the things that we talked about was like this year is currently being planned by us. But the possibility of pushing it out as like a stipend position. A lot of other schools do that. Like they have a DC coordinator, and in hopes of that, like passing it on and allowing other teachers and other people to be a part of this as well. It is something that I think is truly like special and important that
Yeah.
all students should do.
Right.
So it's like I truly believe that we need to like actually keep doing it.
Okay.
And we've talked about how to make that happen.
Okay.
And to that end, I think Annie and Jeremiah have been brilliant in structuring this trip, not only to avoid the heat, but also to reward students who stay at Pioneer. Right? This builds upon the 8th grade curriculum. If you come back at the beginning of 9th grade, you get to go on this wonderful field trip. And that is the kind of investment in Pioneer that I think long-term we do want to be making as a way of trying to keep our student numbers up.
May I say something briefly?
Yeah.
Pardon me. Go ahead, please.
Melissa, to your question about kind of like the budget in the future, absolutely, with continuing to grow the field trip budget, not just for the field trip to DC, which I do. I mean, I'm working on the assumption that it would be an annual field trip,
Okay.
And that this becomes, I'm hoping in 4 years a pretty pro forma conversation that we're having. Like, yep, we're going to approve the DC field trip yet again because it's such a great field trip, and it's just part of the assumed experience of a Pioneer graduate. But also, to really think about when we want students to have these experiences, that we're not relying on the same families to fundraise over and over again, but that we're really thinking about how do we support those experiences within the budget.
Yeah. Thank you.
I just briefly wanted to say that I lived in the DC area for a while, and you touched my heart when you said seeing some of these monuments at night and just placing yourself in these very famous, places and thinking about what you know from history. And it really brings it to you. And I think as a student learning it, it would be wonderful. So that's something that I think is going to be a lifelong memory for them. I would say also make sure you get travel insurance on your contracts with the travel company. And I think you're doing a great job of figuring out how to pay for it. It's good.
Not to be answered now necessarily, but to this key point about situating this trip as a planned tradition, I apologize as a Pioneer parent for 3 kids that I don't know if there are other sort of traditional trips on the middle high school event calendar. And
Senior trip.
there's certainly the senior trip.
I think
yeah,
that. But
very
I think
aware.
that's. I
Yeah.
think that's it.
Yeah. Okay. But it's nice to sort of have we're sort of working with a relatively blank slate, and so maybe just some deliberate curricular thinking also about what sites would be of interest locally or further away.
I've been on a lot of senior class trips, and even having seniors for 1 or 2 or 3 years, when you take them out of this environment and put them someplace else, you get a whole different experience with them. It's a different kind of a relationship. And so to start this in 9th grade and then have that relationship with those students through 9, 10, 11, and 12, I really think that is like the ideal opportunity to really know these kids in a different way. I think it's going to be really good for them.
Yeah. That's awesome. All right. I think we're ready for a motion. If anyone would like to read. On the back, on the bottom.
I would like to make a motion to approve the 9th grade trip to Washington, D.C., scheduled for October 6th through October 9th of 2025.
I'll second the motion.
Okay. All right.
Stephanie Arroyo, yes.
Raina Dastu, yes.
Stephen Martin, yes.
Yep. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Melissa Osborne, yes.
And Melissa Gary, yes. Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for all this work.
There's a bit more here.
Exciting.
Annie has got other, I think, a really exciting news that speaks to the leadership that she and Jeremiah are bringing to Pioneer. So, Annie, would you please tell us about the proposed high school expo?
Yes, and this is really, Jeremiah should take the lead on this because
You want me to start with this one?
this has really been his, his project?
I just say my project. I would say that it's a joint project between myself, obviously at the behest of Annie, but like I've been working with the guidance department on putting together some form of expo. A big conversation we had very early on was how do we show the kids that we are a school that once cares about them, but also is a place that they can see themselves. And we had come up with this plan to do some sort of exposition night. All the tech schools get to show off all the fun things they do with these kids, and they take these kids to places and they do the fun thing with them that maybe happens one in their entire high school career there. But that's what they think of when they think of these tech schools. So we've been working pretty diligently, myself, Amy Kearney, and Sarah Gordon, on trying to provide a similar opportunity for our 8th graders here. What it's going to look like is, do I have more slides?
Yes.
Okay, I'll wait. So the 8th graders are going to spend a day in the high school working with a specific set of high school teachers. They'll go through and do something with those teachers in a very hands-on way. I think of like wood shop, the arts, so like not just actually the art, but also like the performing arts, music and band, engineering, all those things, and they're going to get 20 to 25 minutes of this super high engaging lesson, like an actual thing that they could expect to do while they're in that classroom. We will have peer leaders, some of the kids I've been working with on that have been building these relationships from the high school with the middle school students. They'll be leading them around, so when the students do have questions and things like that, they can answer them immediately, with a panel at the end of the day hosted by Annie here, where they can ask any remaining questions of those particular students. I'm sure we have another slide. Yes. Okay. What does that mean for the other students in the building? Because we have 5 other grades. So 7th grade is going to be working with the middle school team on an identity day. They're going to be doing team building. It's really a community like bonding day, which they had asked us for previous to even talking about this, so they were really excited when that came up. The goal is to have grade 9 have a mountain day where they're going to go up and work with a couple of people, Jordan Cummings and I don't remember who else is actually going on that trip, but
Ronnie Finley and maybe Emma Harnish.
that's there you go. And they're going to go to Northfield Mountain and climb, which I was actually a little jealous of because I'm a giant hiker, and I was like, maybe I should go on this one. But it's neither here nor there. The 10th and 11th grade, we made a distinct choice to plan a college visit for them. And it's in the hopes that, like, sometimes a lot of these kids haven't actually even gone on college visits yet. I was surprised at how many 11th graders were like, oh no, I haven't been on one yet, which seems like, for me, I was like, well, you should be, right? That's what I was doing in 11th grade. But anyways, so our guidance counselor, Amy, is going to take them, as well as I think Ruth and some of the other, and Claire, are going to take them to UMass as a group, and they're going to get to have that campus experience. Which will be good for them. And then the 12th grade is going to get to spend some time together. The goal is that they're going to get a sort of a smaller senior trip. I've been working with Brian Campbell. This is actually the trip I'm going to be on. We're talking about bringing them ice skating and going to the Greenfield Garden Cinema to spend the day. So that leaves the building mostly empty for just the 8th graders, so that they get to have this truly special time to be the center of attention.
And what's really nice is that all of the things that the other kids are doing are things that we really wanted to do. The 7th grade asked for an identity day. A mountain day was attempted to be done last year, and it just never came together. And now we have this great opportunity to do it. We really want to make sure that every student, whether they're planning on going to college or not, is making an informed decision. And it's really hard to do that if you've never seen a school. So, to just have it be part of our practice that if you're a Pioneer student, you take the SATs, you visit colleges, you think about, is this a good path for me? And the seniors had asked at the beginning of the year, hey, can we have some small trips just for us that we get a chance to hang out together as a class? We don't have to wait for June to happen. And so absolutely. So it really works out nicely.
And Annie, am I right that Mass Hire is funding one of these trips?
Yes, I was just going to say, and the nice thing about the UMass trip is it is being funded by Mass Hire because it aligns with their funding.
And the Pathways Grant is funding the Northfield Mountain Day is not particularly expensive, but it does require a bus. And that ties in with the ecology curriculum, which is part of our environmental pathways program. So it's a very affordable day.
I think along the same lines Steve brought up earlier is if we have any UMass students that are currently enrolled that just recently graduated,
That's a great
you
idea.
know, then it would be nice if we could reach out to them and have them touch base with the tour.
Yeah, I love that idea.
Right?
Yeah, Brian, I did this with my sixth graders, and I did it because of opportunity. It was a good time to do it. The departments there are very, very receptive to this, and often have philosophy done with free handouts. So, police, fire, tech, they would print these out, 3D printers for them ahead of time. So,
And-
it's up to Patricia.
Yeah.
I'll give you a
And
heads
we
up
have
on- I've lost contact with a lot of those folks, but pre-COVID. But I will tell you, they did an outstanding job. So even departments get in touch with some of them, very biomedical, had
We
the kids
have a
looking at
parent
stuff.
here who is the facilities manager for one of the biotech buildings.
Yeah.
And I am certain he would love to take you on a tour and connect you with the scientists and engineers in that building.
Green building is one. Police and fire, another excellent one. Tech, another excellent one. So there are a lot of
Our
big,
local police chief, John Hall, came from UMass.
yeah. And I'll tell you, the police department does an outstanding job.
Yeah.
They really do. They let the kids go in the cells and the whole bit and say, you don't want to be here. But anyway, no, seriously. But I was very, very impressed. They take them into the tech center with all the 9/11 calls. No, I'm serious. Is it like I, as somebody who's been on campus for eons, I saw things I never saw before. So, Patricia, if you want any ideas, let me know. And you know Diana's down there to reach out to.
Yeah, they're going to get like a limo bus once you're there.
They can do
I
the-
love it.
they
I
can
love
do
it.
Bus visit. She might be able to swing something. I don't know. I don't want to speak for her.
I'd also say the extension school there for agriculture too is a
Yes. Yeah.
excellent source for the state.
Yeah. Sorry about that. I rarely speak, so I forgot about that.
I mean, all great ideas, and as we're all thinking out loud here, I'm thinking about, can we make sure to tie into our environmental pathways and showing kids the programs that are the natural next step of that, because UMass has so many excellent programs that are just kind of natural continuations of that program. So there's no vote or anything. This is just, we're just letting you know.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
No, this is really exciting.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, now I can-
Yep. You're done. You're dismissed.
All
right. Okay, so grants quarterly report. Is that going to be Jordan?
Yeah, that's Jordan, and I will put that up on the screen. Let's see.
Waiting for my camera to start. I want to make sure. Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
you go.
there you are.
Also, Cammie's waiting to be let in. She's in the bullpen.
Oh,
Is that me or you?
I think it's you because I don't own the meeting.
It's like a young Mariano Rivera warming up.
He just loves those references. I don't see her.
Greatest reliever of all time.
Oh, there she is.
Oh, there she goes. Yay.
There we go.
Jordan, that was an allusion to a Yankees player. I think you probably know that.
That was Mr.
Okay.
Martin, Dr. Martin.
You just, your training is not going that well, I think. With, we'll keep working on it.
Yeah, do you want to? I can, yeah.
Cammie, you're not on yet. You get to listen to me. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Everything good now?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, so the grants quarterly report. I think that, the thing that I hope is evident in this report is that we've been
pretty good stewards of our grant money. As you can see, some of the FY24 grants, we're just finishing up using those funds now, and a lot of the big grants, for example, the IDA, the 240 grant, the Title I money, for a significant amount of FY25, we are using the FY24 money, and we'll have some of the FY25 money for FY26, and that just helps us, similar to how we use circuit breaker, using the money kind of a year after receiving it, allowing us to have greater certainty that we'll have funding. So we're able to do that and not have to rely on using, for example, our entire FY25 allotment within the year. So I think that if I were to look across all the grants, I would say that that's one trend that indicates, I think, good stewardship of that money. Another one that I know we talked about a lot and was very exciting, the application process, the innovation career pathway. It was kind of the application that we never thought was going to be done, but through great support from both Annie and our biology teacher, Julie DeBrill, who's also doing a lot of work with the pathways, we're able to finally get that grant approved and get the $75,000 in the initial year. And there'll be additional applications each year. My assumption is we will get the $50,000 in the ensuing 4 years as well. But that grant's going to provide us a lot of opportunity to get a lot of the supplies, equipment, really high-level scientific instruments necessary to enhance our program and go from a normal science program into something that can get our students more exposure to a more professional experience in that innovation career pathway. I know that's what everyone was just talking about, and then leading to potential careers, right? Or pursuits at higher through higher education. So I think those are some of the highlights. We have some other applications, and hopefully at the next quarterly report, we'll have some more successes to share. There's a decent amount of money out there, and some of the grants we're applying for are pretty significant amounts of money for things like additional science equipment, among other things. So we're going to keep applying and trying to get more resources to our students through the grant applications. But I guess I'll stop now and see if anybody has any questions, specific questions about the grants.
Jordan, I have a question. The titled grants, are those amounts consistent from year to year, roughly, or do those change from year to year?
Oh, I see that Raina is talking, but I can't actually hear her, which is a problem, I think.
Oh, wait, let's see.
I turned my own off.
There, is that better? Can you hear me now? Okay. My question was whether the titled grants are those amounts, do those vary from year to year, or are they fairly reliable from year to year?
Very reliable.
Sorry.
Okay.
Should I turn on?
Yeah, why don't you turn on?
There you go. Go ahead, Jordan.
Go ahead.
Yep, so that allocation of $120,000, we've been very close to that, within a couple $1,000s the last few years. So,
Okay.
Sure, depending on the federal line item, how much money they add to that, it may increase, but we've been very consistent around that amount.
Great. Thank you.
Anything else? No? Okay, thank you, Jordan.
Thank you.
Okay, on to the district treasurer job description.
Jordan, I'll do this one, okay? And then I'll hand over the second part of this to you. Can you hear me?
If there was another question, I can't.
Yeah. Oh, can you hear me now?
I'm sorry about that.
Oops, no. Jordan, can you hear me now?
I can.
Okay. I'll do the job description part, if you will please do the request for appointment part.
I would love to. Thank you.
So we are on administrative cleanup continually. It'll take a few more years. While we have had a district treasurer, we have not had an approved job description. So we looked at various job descriptions. We had our state-appointed fiscal overseer review this. Jordan has reviewed it. I have reviewed it. And typically, we would bring this to the collective bargaining and personnel subcommittee for initial review. But because of the timing, where our current treasurer announced a retirement, subcommittees were just getting organized with new leadership. I spoke with Gretchen Kelton, chair of the subcommittee, and she approved our bringing this directly to the school committee. The school committee is the appointing authority for the district treasurer. This is not a position that I hire. What questions or comments might you have about the proposed draft job description?
Does this add any new roles that the district treasurer hadn't been doing but now will previously be doing?
Jordan, will you answer that one, please?
Yes, I'm just going to look at the job description to confirm. As I look for it, my assumption is no. I mean, the district treasurer role is pretty discreet and focused on banking and cash. Let me see if there's anything.
I don't see anything on it that looks different from my understanding of the current treasurer's role.
Okay. I was just curious because it says perform all other duties as assigned by school committee. So that's just a generic.
That's a generic.
Which I understand. But is that, like, I don't necessarily know what we would assign or need for the district treasurer other than what is here. So I didn't know if there was any insight to things that you could see that we would need to assign the treasurer to do.
No, and I've reviewed each bullet point and thought about it now. So thank you, Melissa, for giving me a little thinking time. No, I mean, this really looks precisely what the treasurer does.
Okay.
And it's nothing more or less, but I think that to Patricia's point, you always want to, if this is a good list with almost everything, but it's impossible to ever create an exhaustive list of what people might do. So I think that that last bullet point is just and who knows, because there could be statute or other things that evolve over time in the role that maybe because of for some reason, something else happens where it's legally the treasurer's responsibility to do something. I can't imagine something right off the top of my head, but it's good because it keeps it a living document, as they say.
I have a question about the time commitment for the job. Is it full-time, part-time?
It's been 1 day a week.
1 day a week, okay.
Okay. Would anyone like to make the motion?
I can make that motion. I move to approve the job description for the position of district treasurer as presented.
Second.
Stephanie Arroyo, yes.
Raina Dastu, yes.
Stephen Martin, yes.
Melissa Osborne, yes.
Melissa Gary, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, on to the appointment.
Great. I would love to provide more information. I'm going to make another sports reference, if I may. I feel like this is similar to the person, I don't know who it was, who got to make the introduction for Michael Jordan's Hall of Fame induction. Because, Cammie is a Hall of Famer when it comes to school finance. I don't think there is a school finance Hall of Fame, but if there were, she would be a first ballot electee. Sorry?
We're just
I was just giggling.
we're
Sorry.
laughing along with you.
Giggling is fine. you know, I think obviously Cammie's resume speaks for itself, but also, you know, with any person that anyone's considering for a position with a district, you know, I guess a question mark, you never know, right? Like how committed somebody is to the district, but luckily with Cammie, she's already someone who we know and has shown both a commitment to the district and who's really enhanced our practices in the business office, and who everybody, it instills greater confidence in everyone and allows people to work better in our business office. You know, when I mentioned the possibility of Cammie as a candidate, there was a literal sigh of relief, but there was also just the good feelings you could see radiating from everybody, including Scott, knowing that the transition would be more than easy. That, you know, Scott, very knowledgeable and experienced person, but, you know, even felt like you might even be learning something during the transition of trying to teach someone else the job. So, you know, none of that's hyperbole. Cammie's wonderful, has so much experience, and I don't want any of my attempts at humor to diminish the fact that we are just so lucky to have an opportunity to, you know, bring someone with Cammie's vast experience, someone who can provide, you know, really mentoring to every role in the business office. That certainly isn't the role of the treasurer, but what everyone knows, if you ask Cammie a hard question, she'll have a really good answer and a solution. So we're just really lucky to continue to add. You know, I believe we have a great administrative team, but this is just one of those opportunities to, you know, build strength upon strength. So I am so excited to have a colleague like Cammie potentially to work alongside. So super excited and only say good things about this opportunity. Any questions, please?
No, I think this is amazing. I'm flattered almost even that, Cammie, you are thinking about working for us in this role, from being our overseer to transition. My question is, what does, say we appoint Cammie tonight, what does the transition look like for a time for a new district overseer? I see that we've identified someone, but how would that process go?
I'm happy to start on that, and obviously Cammie can jump in at any point. I think, right, so there have been candidates identified. They're going to speak with Associate Commissioner Jay Sullivan about the opportunity. My thought process would be, obviously the person needs to be comfortable, Jay needs to be comfortable with their experience and background to do the job, but in terms of specific timing, I think it could happen pretty quickly, because ultimately the hard thing I think about finding the fiscal overseer is you just need an extremely experienced person. But if they in fact have that experience, they could probably jump into the role pretty quickly, because it's going to be somebody who really understands how business offices are supposed to function, and so it wouldn't be a big, there's no specific training besides, I think, having done the job a long time and done it well. But please, Cammie, correct me if I'm wrong.
So just to let the committee know, I did speak with Jay Sullivan about some candidates' names, trying to help him find a suitable replacement. He did ask a couple of those people to reach out to me, so they knew what the job entailed. And I let them know that potentially I would still be in the district. If I moved from the fiscal overseer job to the treasurer's job, I'd still be there as a resource, but also as a smoother transition for that fiscal overseer to have that background as well. Just like I've been working with Scott and Jordan along this time, so I expect that transition to go easily as well. So based on the school committee's vote, appointing me to the treasurer position, if that happens tonight, what I would do is send in a resignation that I will not be able to be the fiscal overseer, because I can't do both. It's a conflict of interest. Which would then allow Jay and the committee to work on appointing a new overseer at possibly the next school committee meeting. And that way, Jay, as far as the Department of Education, and Patricia would be able to bring that to the school committee to have that appointment. And then I could work with that person transitioning the records that I have and filling in that information for the transition piece.
Okay. Thank you.
What an incredible turn of events.
Yeah.
I got a little teary. So, these are wins, right? Cammie, you're endorsing the district. Jay Sullivan is endorsing the district. What? Oh, Mrs. Brennan just held up a handwritten sign that said, "Lock her in ASAP." Just a quick note. I think that the committee actually has no say in the appointment of the fiscal overseer. I believe that is strictly a commissioner decision, Cammie. And we've been so fortunate, but I don't believe that under the special legislation, the committee has the purview to reject a candidate.
I believe, if I remember correctly, the committee signs the contract with the fiscal overseer because my contract, which the commissioner also needs to sign.
Okay. Okay, then that's that. Gosh, I think you'd want to sign this contract.
Yeah. Yes. I mean,
Like to make a motion.
oh, okay. Steve would like to make a motion. Yes.
I'd like to move that we appoint Cammie Lemica as the district's treasurer.
And I will second that.
Stephanie Arroyo, yes.
Raina Dastu, yes?
We're really lucky. Stephen Martin, yes.
Melissa Osborne, yes.
And Melissa Gary, yes.
Yeah.
Welcome, Cammie. Thank you so much.
Yay. Congratulations all around.
I would like to say I'm very happy to be still working with the school district in a district role, but also to keep the district moving forward. That pleases me as well.
Thank you so much.
So much.
And Jordan, you're done for the evening. You're always welcome to hang out, but go be with your family.
Okay, thank you.
Go away.
All right.
Yeah.
You're dismissed.
He's at home.
He's at home?
Yay.
His Japanese. With ease.
That's all I needed.
Pretty real.
And she's done.
Wow. It must be a small set of people who choose to stay with the district after being an overseer.
Not a typical.
Right.
I've been in a district in that situation, and that wasn't the case. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
Hey, where was Jordan? At home?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was
a fake background.
Fake background. Yeah, that's a.
I know.
I'm looking at the light going, oh, maybe he's far
This
away.
little Japanese.
He looks very Japanese.
Little
And
Japanese
Steve said he was
villa.
at home, and I'm going, really? You fake the sunlight too?
Like the skill set. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, on to the annual report.
So this is a change in practice for the district. By law, the school committee, and I think by policy, is supposed to approve the annual reports. We haven't done that in my experience in the past, so this is an improvement to practice. Leiden created a template. We asked principals, we followed that template for the Bernardston and Northfield reports. They don't have templates. It may be the case that Bernardston and Northfield say, thank you so much, and that report's a little long. And that's their purview, right? So we did not, I asked Taffy not to print out all of the financial attachments that Jordan created. It's just a lot of extra paper. But within the electronic version of this document are links to the financial information that is required by law. And again, the towns could choose things, and maybe if the committee chooses to approve these reports, you might add language that says we authorize the superintendent to adjust the reports as needed in collaboration with the towns.
I don't see a Leiden.
Because Leiden voted, they changed their bylaws, I believe.
Yep.
They now, we sent the report to them already. They
okay.
changed it to follow the fiscal year, so we sent them a report already.
Got it. And that would mirror these, like
It's
the
similar,
template that
yeah.
you mentioned.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I read through them online. They looked great. Yeah.
Great.
It's a great archive to have also.
Yeah.
Your-
Yeah. Okay, so would anyone like to make a motion? We're gonna kind of ad lib on
Yeah,
this
you
one.
ad-lib the motion.
So the motion would be to accept the drafts as presented? Or to authorize?
To approve the
approve-
annual reports to the towns as presented and grant the superintendent discretion to update the reports in collaboration with the towns as needed.
Okay. Did you get that, Ann? Okay.
So moved.
So moved.
Second? Do we have a second?
Second, yes.
Okay. Sorry. All right.
Stephanie Arroyo, yes.
Raina Dastu, yes?
Stephen Martin, yes.
Melissa Gary, yes. Okay. Great.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you
I'd
for
like
all
to
that
thank
work.
You're welcome. I'd like to thank Jordan for the financial work and the principals for writing their narratives.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, they're warm, aren't they? They're warm and friendly and
Yes, here's what's
informative.
happening.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very nice.
What a great tradition to start.
All right. So the district strategic plan, possible vendors, and cost.
Okay, school committee, you have, and others, you have a memo in front of you. I committed maybe 2 meetings ago to researching possible vendors. Earlier in the fall, I had sent a query to all superintendents in the state about their experience with strategic planning and any recommendations. I reached out to some of the people who had responded then. I've been looking at different strategic plans online. I've held a few phone conversations. So here's what I've learned. I've given you 5 names of possible vendors. I don't have precise information about costs, but gosh, the costs really vary. The costs really vary. We're not doing a $100,000 strategic plan. Let's be careful. Be clear of that. It sounded to me from just a few conversations like this might be a process where we could do a beautiful job with the help of a consultant, and we could do some of the labor ourselves, some of the portions that we are already very good at, and have the vendor do pieces that we want them to do. I have them plan for and run the community meetings. Maybe they develop surveys. What we are really good at through our experience working with Canon Design and the facilities master planning process is taking a survey that a vendor has created for us and in collaboration with them, greatly refining it. I am thinking, as it says in the memo, it would be great to work with maybe 2 members of school committee on, because I don't think it would be appropriate for me to, given that this is a school committee initiative, to select a vendor or recommend. But this wouldn't be really hard work. This would be, let's come sit in my office, let's make some phone calls together. I can line up the interviews and do that together, and then make a recommendation to school committee about a possible vendor considering cost and prior success, etc.
Okay.
Just briefly, I'm so happy that we are keeping open the option of doing as much work as we can with our schedules, with the knowledge, that we have, and then getting a review, a professional review. I think that's brilliant.
So for school committee members, is there anyone, I am interested in this, so I am happy to join a working group. And so I don't know if there is anyone else that would be interested in joining.
I'd be happy to join as well.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
I'll help.
And Melissa, okay. There's 3.
Wow, this is great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The policy cited there, I think does require, and I didn't put a motion in there, does require the school committee to approve the working group.
Okay.
So you might want to do a quick motion saying,
Okay.
saying what you need.
Could you make that motion?
Yeah. So I will make the motion to approve the working group with the members who have been identified
For the district strategic plan.
district strategic plan. Yep.
Yeah.
There we go.
I second the motion.
Okay.
Stephanie Arroyo, yes.
Raina Dastu, yes?
Stephen Martin, yes.
Melissa Gary, yes.
Great, thank you. This is
All
going to
right.
be good stuff. I'll ask Taffy to reach out and we'll get a first meeting going.
Sure. Perfect. Okay. Superintendent formative evaluation.
Okay, and I was working on this up to the, I don't know, middle of the day today. So what you have on paper is the more recent version from what I may have shared last night or this morning. Okay. So the superintendent evaluation process, like the teacher evaluation process, includes formative, midway assessment, and a final evaluation. In the spring, in May, I'll present evidence about the full year of my work, and you would vote on a rating for me in June. So this is just an update mid-year, an opportunity for me to share what I've been working on and for you to provide me feedback on that work. The evaluation process for educators and administrators includes two parts. One is goals, and you approved my goals previously for the year, so I'll talk about how that's been going. And then a look at my practice against 4 professional standards. Teachers have 4 professional standards. Administrators do. Mine are a little bit different as an administrator. So I'm going to dive right in. I have 3 goals: a student learning goal, a professional practice goal, and a district improvement goal. The student learning goal has been the most challenging one because I work as part of a team in everything, and we lost our director of teaching and learning in early October, and that person would have been a key partner in overhauling our intervention program. And I didn't put evidence in. We actually have done a lot of work. I've met with our principals, Nancy Parlaglosh and Marin Law, multiple times to talk about intervention programming in the elementary schools, what the status of it is, what our beliefs are about intervention. We've got some excellent interventionists in the district, but we don't have good systems in place, and that is not their fault. That is the fault of, administration, and we need to work on it. So I would say, without belaboring this, I need Zevi to get here. And this is a goal that will need to continue into next year. And there's some interesting things happening. I met with Principal Schreiber today for our weekly one-on-one, and there are questions at NES about, gosh, the data team meetings are coming up. What data are teachers bringing to look at students? And we determined that I am going to go to NES starting tomorrow morning, and I am going to do some student assessments. I'm going to start with first graders, and I cannot even tell you how excited I am to do some one-on-one, classic, productive, meaningful literacy assessments with first graders. And then I will probably drop down to kindergarten once we've gotten through the first graders. And Principal Schreiber and I also talked about possibly working with the literacy specialist as a team and going into the upper grades and doing one-on-one assessments with the kids in the upper grades. So that is that. Questions about that goal? No?
Yeah, I think one of the, as you said, one of the challenges is, we set these plans in motion. We make these goals at the beginning of the year, and then things happen. So unexpected things happen. We didn't expect a change in the administrative team, and that's the reality. And I think that's. And I can tell how excited you are about going into work with the students.
I am so excited. Okay, my
great.
professional practice goal. So this goal is about getting out into the buildings, making sure that I am systematically out in classrooms, and when possible with other people, so with the principals and with the with directors. I have been successful in getting out with the principals. So what we did was every other week, our one-on-one time is longer, and we try to use those weeks to do our work with each other and then get out into classrooms with each other. I have not yet kind of forced the issue. I've got to get out with Jordan, I've got to get out with Nancy, and be looking at instruction with them. I have established office hours in each of the buildings. Taffy,
nice.
Yeah, it's great. It happens before school. I covered NES today because Principal Schreiber was doing PD, and someone saw the room I was in at midday. My office hours are before school. And she knocked on the door and said, could I pretend these are office hours and come in? So that was good because it meant that, there's a sense like, oh, make an appointment with me and come on in. Okay, I didn't put this as evidence because it has notes that would not be appropriate to share, but I just want to show you old school how I keep track of going out into the building. So I've got a sheet for each school. It is so old school. And there's a date. And every time I go into a classroom, I then sit afterwards and write a few notes about what I observed. The principal and I don't write typically when I'm in the room. We head back to the office and, what did we see? What did we see? What questions? How would you approach this? So this is how I track if I'm getting out. I have been in I think I've done 57 observations so far. I am in classrooms, kind of regular classrooms and elementary specialist classrooms. I have not gone into special education rooms, and I haven't gone into related service provider settings yet, and I'm not sure that I will this year. I may, in the end, say, let's have me focus on classrooms, and maybe next year, if I continue this, I would add that in. So that's questions about.
Thank you for all your work.
Oh, you're welcome.
We appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And then the district improvement goal, that's about the strategic plan. And we're on our way. And I feel like I'm being I'm trying to keep up my end of the bargain with helping move things along. So that's a bit of evidence. And so on the on the documents, you can click on the evidence and see stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah? Mm-hmm. Right. Then on the back of the memo is some evidence in relation to, I stuck in a couple of, I got, people send stuff, but I got a couple emails in the past few weeks. It's at the bottom of the front page, anonymous. And I'm going to say right now to anyone listening, it is so appreciated when people take the time to send a 2-sentence email. Gosh, I noticed something. So there are 4 standards of professional practice: instructional leadership, management and operations, family and community, and professional culture. And I've given you a link on the front of the memo. You can dive into the superintendent evaluation process and resources. So I've given you some samples of evidence that you can click on. District agreement, that has been a heavy lift, and I am thrilled that the committee is getting so close to sending a document to the select boards for placement on town meeting warrants. Our statement of interest to the MSBA was approved. That, like everything, is a team effort around here. We will be meeting we have a 2.5-hour phone call with the MSBA, Jordan, Gretchen, Licata, and the 3 principals and I next Wednesday. And we scheduled that during our regular admin team meeting time. A pilot of the elementary math curriculum. I am not leading that. I am supporting and providing supervision. We have 8 teachers who are trying out the Bridges math curriculum. I suspect that in March we'll bring you a request for approval of adoption of that curriculum. Implementation of the new cell phone policy. That was a big deal. Now, what did not get in here, because I put it in the afternoon, is just today the Attorney General's office sent out their toolkit that they are distributing far and wide. And Principal Scanlon, Amy, and I are thanked for our contributions to that toolkit. So I think I said to Chair Gary at one point, the flowers will begin to come. We are making great improvements, and the flowers will be. And that's not about us and our ego, because this is not a high ego group, but we are a high values group. Right?
Yep.
So the subcommittees, we've done a few things. Again, teamwork. Taffy and I designed, it's similar to the format we use for posting all of your materials. Taffy has created a subcommittee sheet that you can go to, any member of the public, and see the most recent meetings and click on the minutes, agendas and minutes. It's great, and I don't know of another district that does that the way we do. And then also I've created, and the subcommittee chairs have seen it, a single document where we can organize our work. Subcommittee chairs can go in, put their notes about what we need to work on next. We're linking things. That feels like a really nice step forward in our productivity. I'm excited about subcommittee leadership this year. I think it's going to really move us along. Winchester High School. That's been a big thinking, Raina, about the unexpected. Who knew that we would be spending this much time and energy working on that process? last week, the Winchester High School Selection Committee made a recommendation to the school board that only Hinsdale High be recommended as the anchor school. I want to thank the chair, the vice chair, and member Gretchen Kelton for joining me in Winchester last Monday night. So maybe a little disappointment that we weren't considered as an anchor school, and we make lemonade around here. It would be wonderful if we continue in this process and they identify Pioneer as a school of choice for kids. And maybe what we end up getting is a small group of kids who really want to be here. Right? That would be great. I am so proud of the team here for the way we have engaged with Winchester, the way we've kept people informed. We could not have asked for a better presentation at their high school showcase. And my goodness, to have 3 school committee members go up on a winter night just to sit in the audience and be present while they talked about their recommendation, that really was a show of strength and teamwork. We ought to be proud of that. And then lastly, ongoing improvements to safety and security. I gave you a sample email. It comes out under Jordan's name. I want to talk about that for a minute. I keep using the word teamwork. The email is a great example of teamwork because, as I've said before, when we have our safety drills with our law enforcement partners, we debrief. Jordan is now in charge of keeping notes about the debriefing, putting them into a shared doc, and bringing them to admin team meetings where we go through all the items and make sure that people are doing what they need to do. And I asked him to, let's do a follow-up with all staff. I drafted an email, because he was busy, so I said, I'll take that one, I'll draft it. He got it, he refined it, he sent it to admin team so that they could refine it, and then it goes out. So this is how we roll, right? People have each other's backs. This team is so good about welcoming editing by other people, by welcoming feedback, improvements. What we want is to get excellent product and process out there. And I'll use the word ego, and there's a really strong drive towards excellence, but there are no divas in the room when the admin team meets. I don't know if Mrs. Brennan would disagree, but I put her on the spot. So that email felt like a good example of process and product in terms of making sure we're following through on our safety planning. So that's what I have for you tonight, and I'd welcome your feedback.
Okay.
I would say that I've been so impressed with the strength of the team in responding to, as you mentioned, sort of unexpected, possibly pivotal choices to make or considerations. And whereas other organizations are maybe too stretched or too brittle to sort of consider something new, it speaks volumes that our team is willing to look at something new in mid-stride and evaluate it and put our best foot forward and try, and we'll always learn from that, but you can't do that with a team that's not flexible enough and works well together to do so. So thank you.
Thank you.
I just also want to say, I really appreciate all of the documents that you put together and the sharing of evidence, and it's really obvious that a lot of work is being done. It's effective work. You're not just spinning your wheels, and the ability to kind of pivot, and not, that the goals are still front of mind, but accepting that, okay, we might not finish this goal this year, and but we're making progress towards it. And with the district improvement goal, that was I think something that came from the school committee's retreat, and also just looking at, okay, we need that, but we also want it to be a really meaningful document, so we don't want to just throw something together let's look at the process and let's go through a process where it's going to give us a meaningful document that we can use. So,
Thanks.
yeah, so I appreciate that.
I'm just looking forward to clicking on all the links to really dive in. So that's where I'm at.
All right.
Well done. Well
Thank
done.
you. Thank you. There's no vote needed tonight.
Yeah,
That's
no.
okay.
No.
All right, thank you for the review. I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay. So I don't have any other business anticipated. Does anyone have anything they want to bring up? Okay. So upcoming meetings, we have a budget subcommittee meeting on January 28th at 6 o'clock. We have a collective bargaining and personnel subcommittee meeting. That will be January 30th at 5 p.m. Teaching and Learning Subcommittee meeting, February 5th at 6 p.m. The public hearing for the budget fiscal year 26 will be February 6th at 6 p.m. Do you
Yes,
know?
where that would be.
Yeah, I was just going to say, do we know where that's going to be
The
located?
public hearing, I think, will be in the Kiva.
In the
It's
Kiva?
been in the auditorium, but it's we don't get enough people to.
Yep. So
Kiva?
possibly in the Kiva.
Yep.
Okay. Our next full school committee meeting is February 13th at 6 o'clock. That will include the vote on the budget. And then we have the planned special school committee meeting on February 27th at 6 o'clock to review the district agreement. Okay. Next is executive session. Can someone read that?
I'll make a motion to go into executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 22, F and G for approval of executive session minutes from January 9th, 2025. And we will not be returning to open session at the end of executive session.
I'll second the motion.
Okay.
Stephanie Arroyo, yes.
Raina Dastu, yes?
Stephen Martin, yes.
Melissa Gary, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I think I'll stay out here and clean up. Sure. No. Okay. You'll take